David Bird here, therapist and coach, and in this video I want to talk to you about how when just get started doesn't quite cut the mustard. So I posted a video yesterday about how I've been struggling to get started making videos again, and how essentially I'd been basically realised that there was this pattern of self-criticism and fear and stuff coming up for me, and how when I was able to see that pattern and lean into it, the answer was just start. Well, I got a message from somebody who watched that video, who essentially was saying, well, you know, that hasn't worked for me because, you know, and they listed some examples, and something they said, they used a metaphor. They said, but I still know I need to climb the mountain, or something like that. And that really resonated with me, because I've used that metaphor before. And I think in NLP they call it a chunking issue. Like, if I'm at the bottom of Mount Everest, I can look up and I can be like, fuck, I've got to climb that mountain. Now, from there, there's a lot of detail missing between where I am and climbing the mountain, right? There's a lot of information missing. There's a lot of steps that aren't detailed. And one of the common bits of wisdom is, okay, so rather than focus on getting to the top of the mountain, focus on getting to the end of the path, say, or you know, some smaller milestone, as it were. And I do think that's really useful to be able to do that. You know, it stops overwhelm, it breaks it down, it kind of brings some attention to, it helps us bring some attention to those other steps that we might need to look at. However, what if it's -10 outside and I'm there in a summer jacket and flip-flops and some shorts? Now I can focus all I want on getting to the end of that, on the end of the path, but I'm probably going to freeze to death before I get there. And there's likely to be a deeper part of me that kind of knows that. So as much as I can be there telling myself, I just need to focus on getting to the end of the path, that's not going to work. And that's again because I'm missing some further steps in there that I'm not necessarily aware of. Now I could be there with a seasoned mountain climber, and they could be saying, you know, just get to the end of the path. But if between us we've not recognised that I'm not really dressed for the occasion and therefore haven't got the experience, then there's going to be a problem there. So going back to my video from yesterday about just start for me yesterday was just realising that the only thing in the way was the fear and the self-judgment, and that I just had to sit down and hit record and do it because I was kind of a bit out of practice. But I'd already months ago gone through the whole rigmarole of doing that every day, and about working out all the different platforms and working out video editing and all of that. So I'd already built that kind of experience. I'd already knew what that was about. So actually, yeah, just start for me was a much smaller step, but it was very different a few months ago. I mean, if we look back a few years ago, I wasn't even interested in videos. I mean, I still had in my head that people who created videos and put them online were narcissistic pricks, just because of all the judgment that I had and all the fear stuff that I had on top of that. I mean, for me back then, it was about articles, because there was no way I'd put my face out there or my voice. It was about, writing. But even then, I couldn't just start writing. Every time I tried that, I'd hit a blank. Now I've always had a love of the English language and a love of writing, so I knew something about writing. There was already some embodied experience there, but I didn't know how to write blogs or anything. And so that just start next step for me was actually to do some research into that, to get hold of some online courses, to learn about writing blogs, learn about writing web copy, to learn about writing headlines and things like that. And then just start eventually became, okay, now sit down and write your articles. So for me, although there'll often be some point, or if not always be some point, where we need to recognize there's this internal resistance, there's this internal fear of the unknown, where we need to take that next step. Sometimes there's a deeper part of us that knows that next step, or at least it looks like that next step, is a giant chasm. And sometimes it isn't, and we just need to look a bit closer and realize actually it is just a small step, and it is just fear stuff. But sometimes it is a genuine chasm. And maybe we need to get some other kit. Maybe we need some other form of help to kind of bridge that gap a little bit. So, have you resonated with anything that I've said in this video? Do you struggle to just get started? Or have you been telling yourself a story about, I just need to get started, and it looks like you need to be doing it a certain way, but it's just not been working? To mix metaphors completely, do you feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall? Does everybody else seem to be doing it easier and you can't seem to? If any of these things are true for you, please drop me a comment, send me a message, or send me a message either through my social media channels or through my website at dbch.co.uk. That's dbch.co.uk. I'd love to hear from you.